one of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed, right? I've been able to play events in Spain.
You're in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta. It's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50 years old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live.
It's very exciting, and really, if there was ever a place to get my first win, I feel like this would be the perfect week.
I feel like when this wind at this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
What the heck course were you playing today?
I don't know.
It's brutal out there.
It is brutal. I don't know. I just made everything I looked at, Jerry. You have those days. I suppose this is one of those days for me, so I relished in it. I really enjoyed it. Every time I stood over a putt, just felt like I could make it, and you don't get days like that too often, or certainly I don't. So, I relished in it, and I managed to hit a lot of good shots as well. So it was a special day.
Hello and welcome to a Wednesday Live right here on the Early Line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. We are here together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern Time to look back on the Midsummer Classic, the 2024 MLB All-Star Game last night in Arlington, Texas, at the home of the Rangers. Now firmly into the All-Star break, 2 full days off around the bigs with not a single bit of action. We'll reset where Major League Baseball is here at the break, nearly 100 games in to the long marathon. That is 162 games. A quadruple header around the WNBA yesterday, a surprise out in the desert, and 2 more games today before the All-Star and Olympic break in the W. It's a quieter time in the world of sports. We've got some rookies showing up to training camp. We've got the #1 overall pick in Caleb Williams signing that dotted line, but we will still have some fun here over these 3 hours on the Early Line.
Exactly. And if you see me sort of dozing off a little bit or maybe staring off into space or not paying attention to what Ben's saying, it's Amazon Prime Day. Might as well. There's nothing going on today. Just rack up a shopping bill, get multiple boxes sent to your house. That might be what I would do over the next 3 hours to keep myself involved, Ben. It's up to you today, not the people. It's up to Ben Stevens to entertain your boy DRS right now.
That charge I can hold on to until the final 5 minutes of this show when Mike Blewett steps up and in to host Newswire, and it's another rendition of Listen Up. Let's go back to the All-Star Game last night in Arlington. The American League continues its dominance. That's 10 victories in the Midsummer Classic in the last 11 years as the AL wins 5-3. The scoring got started last night in the third. Shohei Ohtani, a 3-run nuke for the National League, responded by 3 runs in the bottom half of the third by the AL. A 2 RBI double off the bat of Juan Soto. David Fry, the first-time All-Star out of Cleveland, also in RBI in the third. But Jarren Duran of the Boston Red Sox, one of the young pieces of that core at Fenway, a 2-run home run. That's the home run derby. Alec Boehm would have been wearing a helmet last night. Jarren Duran takes home the American League MVP for the All-Star Game. A 2-run home run in the bottom of the 5th. That was the game winner. That was the end of the scoring. The AL victorious with a 5-3 victory.
Imagine an all-star game where we have a Paul Skeens start, which thank you, Juan Soto, for interrupting my play of the day streak by drawing a meaningless walk in the first inning. That was not appreciative, but also in a world where Shohei Ohtani in an all-star game hits a 3-run bomb to give the National League a 3-run lead, and it turns out he's not the MVP. Like a 3-run lead in the all-star game is equivalent to like a 10-run lead during the regular season with all those dominant arms. So credit the American League for coming back, but also 10 hits for the National League and only those 3 runs, which were accounted for by that Ohtani home run. I thought it was a pretty good game overall. I enjoyed the All-Star game, and also it wasn't one of those 2-1 games, 6 total hits. You got 15 hits, couple home runs, 5-3 final score, an exciting night all the way around. And now it's time to get back to the Major League Baseball season.
There wasn't much after the 5th inning in that Jarren Duran home run, that 2-run shot, the game winner that won him the All-Star Game MVP hardware. The NL had a chance with a couple of runners on in the 7th, but not much past that point. Regardless, the American League victorious for the 10th time in the last 11 All-Star games. They were the slight favorite last night in Arlington, -118 on the money line. In another rarity last night in Texas, the total goes over by the hook. 7.5, that pregame total. Just the 4th time in the last 11 All-Star games we have seen 8 or more runs in the Midsummer Classic. Quadruple header of action yesterday around the WNBA, highlighted by the marquee matchup between the top 2 teams in the W, that being the New York Liberty and the Connecticut Sun. But first, DRS, the upset out in Las Vegas. The Aces on a roll, victorious in 10 of their last 11, a 13.5-point favorite last night in Sin City against the Chicago Sky, behind 34 points from Kennedy Carter. The Sky go on the road to Vegas and win outright 93-85 as a 13.5-point underdog.
We knew A'ja Wilson would have a great game, 28 points and 14 rebounds, which if you heard that box score, you'd think that it would be an easy victory for the Aces, who yesterday been favored by 2 touchdowns. But also, we know the All-Star break is coming up, and maybe the Aces already on it. 25-12 first quarter for the road team, the Sky, easily dispatching of the Aces. That's an impressive performance from the Sky, and I don't know what to anticipate from the Aces. We were singing that, hey, look at the Aces, best team finally turning it around. Then we get that performance. Maybe they're just looking forward to that All-Star break and, quite frankly, that month break.
Well, they shouldn't be, because many of those players on Las Vegas, members of Team USA in the hunt for a gold medal. A'ja Wilson not happy with her team last night. In the other marquee matchup, the New York Liberty get an 8-point victory at home in Brooklyn over Connecticut, 21-4. Now for the Liberty into the All-Star and Olympic break, and Sabrina Ionescu, 30 big points last night. The Liberty have beat the Sun in all 3 matchups this year. Phoenix, a victory yesterday as well, covering as a 5-point favorite. The Seattle Storm hold off the LA Sparks on the road. Now some NFL news and some drama. For what feels like the 9th time this offseason, Brandon Ayuk has requested a trade from the San Francisco 49ers. He has been disgruntled with the organization and not receiving a new contract. San Francisco, as a team, says we are not interested in trading Ayuk. They seem to be at an impasse with training camp starting by the Bay in less than a week.
Yeah, it's a tough scene out there because wide receivers are getting paid outside of T. Higgins, and rightfully so, is one of the better young wide receivers in the game. If you talk a big game from the 49ers perspective, we love you, Brandon Ayuk. You're in our future plans. We'll pay him like he's in your future plans at this point. A disgruntled wide receiver, when you're looking to make a Super Bowl run, it typically doesn't fit. So I'm looking forward to the 49ers not trading him and paying him and keeping him happy. You paid Debo. You just paid CMC in the offseason. Now pay Brandon Ayuk.
This upcoming Wednesday, that's when San Francisco reports to camp. The Niners showed up with their rookies yesterday. Ricky Pearsall, their first-round pick at the wide receiver spot out of Florida, placed on the non-football-related unable-to-perform list. Summer League action last night. Alex Sarr, the second overall pick for the Washington Wizards. And Ofer, a goose egg, 0 of 15 last night in a loss to the Summer League Blazers.
Sar and Bronny on the Shanghai Sharks coming to a city near you soon. I mean, is that what we're looking at here in the Summer League here? Look, kids are going to struggle. We understand that. You just hope that a top draft pick isn't struggling that bad after a few games. Well, we'll see. There'll be a turnaround.
Yeah, that is certainly the hope. Get ready to learn Hebrew, buddy. That's Pat Bev. He is making his way to play in the Israeli Pro Basketball League. The Bucks in his place at Gary Trent Jr.
Good signing. And by the way, you got him cheap, too.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, again, I always love this, too, on social media. It's like, okay, Gary Trent Jr. went on a decent deal to Milwaukee, and then the next 15 comments are, man, the Lakers struck out again. It's crazy to watch this all season here, but that's a pretty good signing at a cheap price.
8 teams showing up to training camp yesterday. Patrick Mahomes spoke. We had the number 1 overall pick sign his actual deal, and yet we're talking about Pat Bev playing pro ball in Israel. Kyrie Irving broke his hand during training. He had surgery with the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, that's interesting here because you have some time to get ready, but I don't know if that's going to affect his training camp or his off season. The one thing that you do like, though, is it doesn't affect the legs, so you can still get that cardio in. He'll be just fine here, nothing to worry about.
So, the Lakers adding the G League Coach of the Year, Lindsey Harding, who coached with, if I'm not mistaken, the Stockton Kings, the G League affiliate of the Sacramento Kings. J.J. Redick adding her as an assistant coach on his staff in Los Angeles.
Well, if you can't add players, you might as well just keep on adding coaches at this point here for the Lakers. We'll see how it turns out. I don't know if it's a good signing or not, but we'll find out next year.
A WNBA player back in her day as well. And, oh, yeah, by the way, Caleb Williams did sign that number 1 overall draft pick for a 4-year fully guaranteed deal, as did Roma Dunze, as the Bears rookie showed up for training camp on a Tuesday afternoon. More teams sending their rooks today, and our first vets make their way in Houston as well. More around the All-Star Game up next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Will they both make it? Yes. But it has more to do with the fact of the 3 teams that are not really good at all in Dallas, Washington, and the Sparks, and an Atlanta Dream Team without Ryan Howard that's spiraling out of control. If they can get those 2 teams, Indiana and Chicago, that's going to be a major boom for ratings.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
It is Canada. You know, Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played 2 matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The 2024 Major League Baseball All-Star Game last night in Arlington, Texas, at Globe Life Field, the home of the Texas Rangers. The American League has been dominant in the Midsummer Classic the last decade plus. They had won 9 straight entering last year's All-Star Game in Seattle. The National League victorious by a single run, 3-2, but the AL back on top here in 2024. 5-3 victory for the American League. 6 of the 8 total runs scored in the third. A 3-run shot first from the NL off the bat of Shohei Ohtani. A mammoth home run of 400 feet. The American League responds in the bottom half of that frame. 2 RBI double from Juan Soto. RBI single, a base knock out of Cleveland's catcher. That's David Fry in the game-winning 2-run home run from Jarren Duran, the youngster for the Boston Red Sox. It gives the AL the lead 5-3 in the 5th, and that is all they needed. Duran takes home the All-Star Game MVP hardware as the AL wins once again as a slight -118 money line favorite, 5-3.
Yeah, once again, the American League won. Let's take a look at the night as it went forward, because I'm one of those, I like big events, Ben, overall. And the All-Star Game technically still a big event. Same thing in the NBA. Don't really dig into so much, let's just say. Obviously, I couldn't stand the Pro Bowl. In the NHL, I don't watch all that much from the All-Star Game perspective on, introductions. But I always like to tune in. It's fun to see all the superstars together in one place there. They get the American League, the National League, they go over the reserves, then the starting lineup, which I think is pretty good. A much better rendition than yesterday of the Star-Spangled Banner to get everything underway for the All-Star Game. But as we watch it go through, I look at the opposite things that some people, hey, give me the game itself. You know what I didn't like so much? The uniforms, particularly the American League, I thought was terrible. But the color combination for the National League, Ben, absolutely sensational. And shout out, because typically this gets ruined. On a year-to-year basis, the draft hats are coming out for the NFL. And once out of every 10 years, you get a good draft hat. I thought the hats were sensational this year for the All-Star break. Number one, the individual teams that they wore for their warm-ups and home run derby, they were awesome. The National League and the American League hats yesterday, I thought they were fantastic. So a good start there stylistically. The only thing disappointing, obviously, was the American League's uniform. Now, to the game itself, 5-3 final, goes over the 7.5. Finally, we got some runs. But also, did you notice during this game, which I do like in an all-star setting, they mic some of the players up, and I thought it was really neat. They mic'd the 3 Philadelphia Phillies up on that line, on the infield. Ketel Marte was the only one with the Diamondbacks there. Wasn't keyed up, but again, that was okay. Did you see when they actually had the all-star pitcher? I think it was Tarek Skubal, was mic'd up, and they were asking him questions in his windup, and he wasn't answering back. I'm you guys thought he would answer that? Hey, how do you feel out there, when he's trying to get the signal? I thought that was interesting, where the actual pitcher was mic'd up maybe a little bit too much. But the game itself, I did enjoy. I finally got to see some home runs and some runs scored. The only thing that made me angry was, of course, it was going to be Juan Soto in a 2-2 count, working a walk to blow my +160 price on Paul Skeens to go 1-2-3 in the first inning. But I thought the All-Star game was enjoyable. And typically it is, because it's the closest form of the game you're going to get in the All-Star format.
Right. Paul Skeens was electric from the start, but his first pitch, only 98 miles per hour to be 101 or higher. That was plus 400. You would have thought he came out absolutely gassed up. Juan Soto, maybe so. Juan Soto, the most patient hitter maybe in all of baseball, does draw that opening inning walk. So the 3 up, 3 down, that was also plus money for Paul Skeens, but ever so slightly so. Not necessarily coming through last night. The other youngster for the American League, Mason Miller, for the Oakland Athletics, he got the win last night as he was in when Jarren Duran hit that home run in the bottom of the 5th. Hunter Green for the Reds suffers the loss, and Emmanuel Clase, the closer for the Cleveland Guardians, he records the save last night. But we did see some star power, right? Shohei Ohtani, a 3-run home run. Juan Soto contributing to the scoring in the home half of the third with that 2 RBI double as well. And Donnie, for your American League team, if you are a Boston backer and Red Sox faithful, you've seen Jarren Duran perform in big spots this year for the Sox. He earns the All-Star Game MVP hardware because of the game-winning 2-run home run in the home half of the 5th. A plus 4,000 price, 40-1 to win the All-Star Game MVP award before the Midsummer Classic got underway. He goes home with that and a nice payday.
Yeah, well-deserved, too, because that's when you take a look at the big performances of the night. In a tie game, you break that tie, and it was the winning run scored. Of course, you're going to get that MVP. But also, Shohei Ohtani with a home run and not winning the MVP, that's the one spot where it's hey, you know what? We'll roll reverse. We'll just give it, because he had 3 RBI, and Duran only had 2 RBI. But I thought it was the right decision to make at that point. And also, shout out to Mason Miller, the pitcher for the Oakland Athletics. I don't know how baseball gets away with this. Where it's the Phillies had 7 or 8 guys go, but each and every team treats their players and their all-stars accordingly. Hey, you know what? After this game, we got a private jet waiting to take you to the All-Star Game. And I guess the Oakland Athletics bought Mason Miller once again, which they do every year, a coach ticket to get down there from Philadelphia. And the Phillies like, no, brother. Get on this private jet with us, which is interesting because he might be up at the trade deadline. You got 8 guys on one side, him on the other side. Hey, man, why don't you come to Philadelphia? We'll treat you in a little bit of respect. But the Oakland Athletics getting away with just sending their player like coach and or commercial always makes me laugh. I mean, that's ridiculous.
The rookie all-star, that's Mason Miller for the A's. The rookie all-star starter for the National League, that was Paul Skeens. Thankfully, Donnie, I'm a little bit grateful, although it ruined your bet that Juan Soto did draw that walk so we could see Skeens versus Judge because he only went that first full inning. Corbin Burns, of course, getting the start for the American League. 16 pitches for Skeens. No strikeouts for a guy that had 11 in his most recent start. It was a special Skeens day. Technically, Skeens Day number 12 in the history of Major League Baseball. The first of what could be many appearances in an all-star game for Skeens.
And by the way, I had no idea Skeens went to the Air Force Academy, man. What a story. Like, I didn't know the background. I just thought he was always one of those big corn-fed dudes going down to LSU and dominating for years. Dude steps in and goes to LSU 1 year as the number 1 overall pick. That is a phenomenal story. This dude would be a jet fighter right now. Instead, he's blowing smoke up there at the plate 100-plus miles an hour. That's a pretty good backstory on Skeens.
Yeah, Paul Skeens started his collegiate baseball career, as Donnie is referencing, at the Air Force Academy. Wanted to be involved in the Air Force. Was also an incredible hitter at the dish as well, but realized how electric his right arm was. Makes the difficult decision to go to LSU. Wins a natty with the Bayou Bengals. Becomes the number 1 overall pick in 2023. And starts the All-Star Game for the National League in his very first season. More All-Star Game reactions up next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Will they both make it? Yes. But it has more to do with the fact of the 3 teams that are not really good at all in Dallas, Washington, and the Sparks, and an Atlanta Dream Team without Ryan Howard that's spiraling out of control. If they can get those 2 teams, Indiana and Chicago, that's going to be a major boom for ratings.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
It is Canada. You know, Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played 2 matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
More reactions from last night's Midsummer Classic. The American League victorious once again. 5-3 victory for the AL. Jarren Duran, the youngster for the Boston Red Sox, 2-run home run. That was the game winner in the home half of the fifth. 5-3 the victory for the AL. They have won 10 of the last 11 All-Star games for just the fifth time in the last 18 Midsummer Classics. We go over a total. Last night it was 7.5. For just the fourth time in the last 11 years, we see 8 or more runs in the All-Star game, bucking a couple of trends, if you will, but the AL's dominance continues at the Midsummer Classic. DRS, we have showed the stats. We have highlighted the performers last night, what they did at the dish and on the bump, and, of course, the All-Star Game MVP, Jarren Duran of the Boston Red Sox. Any other takeaways, any other reactions that you have following last night in Arlington?
Yeah, let me ask you this question, because, again, I'm not up when these games finish at this point. And I understand, I saw, like, the highlight of, obviously, Duran being the MVP. You get that cool, like, glass bat, which I think is a pretty interesting trophy that they give out. But back in the day, like, when the players, look, they were still making a lot of money in the late 80s and early 90s. But they would, like, the All-Star Game MVP would, like, win a new car. Is there anything else they win besides, like, the bat? Like, did they get $1 million? Did, like, a Corvette pop out on the field? Because that used to always be the cool thing. Like, hey, I won the award. Then they drive it like a brand new truck. And you get to go sit and be like, hey, man, this is great at this point. Did we have any of that last night? Like, I don't know what – there's a glass bat they're showing right there on the screen, which I love. I think that's a cool award. But I wonder if he got, like, a car along with it, or, I don't know, at least a trip to Disneyland or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you still win a Chevrolet vehicle, and you can choose which one. I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
we'll have our producer, Joe
Chevy's
Frizo.
Corvette is Chevy, right? So would you just go the Corvette route, like, at that point, you know?
I don't know. Would you go a truck? If you're more of a truck guy? I'm not a truck guy, but I wonder if that's what you decide to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see Jarren Duran getting into a truck, though, by any means.
Yeah. Just get to pick it out
First
online.
All-Star Game appearance, though.
Point. That's pretty impressive. Yeah. How do you top that? Hey, by the way, what'd you do? I only made one All-Star game in my career. Well, were you a bench warmer? Yeah, I was, but I came in and jacked the 2-run bomb to give us the win, took home the award. Like, that's pretty neat, man. You're going to, like, same thing with, like, Teoscar Hernandez winning the home run derby. That's something cool you can always tell the people down the line. Getting that big, like, invite to the All-Star game is one thing, but performing on the biggest stage when you're not supposed to. And also, hey, by the way, I was MVP in a game where Shohei Ohtani hit a 3-run home run. How about that? That's pretty cool, too.
It was also a very cool moment. You could tell from Jarren Duran's post-game interview after winning the MVP hardware that it really did mean something of significance to him. There might be players, in regardless of sport, that say, awesome, man, I appreciate the hardware. What a fun time we had. But you could tell it was meaningful. Jarren Duran, back on Sunday Night Baseball, July 7th, when they were taking on the Yankees, he was mic'd up. He was having a conversation throughout the broadcast. And he mentioned after being named an all-star player for the American League, he called his father. He said they both immediately broke down crying in tears because of the magnitude of that moment and what it meant to be an all-star in Major League Baseball. The 27-year-old for the Sox, his first All-Star Game appearance and an All-Star Game MVP award, deservingly so. The game-winning 2-run home run, 413 feet last night in Arlington to give the American League its 10th victory in the last 11 years. Donnie, we have all questioned, I think, in the last few years around whatever sport it has been, despite changes to format and things that have been made, if All-Star games still have the juice. I still enjoy the Major League Baseball All-Star game more than most because it feels the closest thing we'll get to an actual game, and they add some elements like talking to Tarek Skubal, who might win the American League Cy Young Award as he is literally throwing a pitch, or what he is seeing when Adley Rutschman is giving him signs behind the dish. I do enjoy that. From what you saw last night, do you still agree with the idea, like in our Fade the Public poll yesterday, the All-Star game still has its significance?
It does still have, well, it's two different things. Is it watchable or is it significance? I don't think it has much significance anymore because it's just an exhibition. When, again, the exhibition used to be like, let's go to different cities every year because these players and teams don't play in these stadiums and these fans don't see these players. That's out the door. But I think the significance of the All-Star game is you can still tune in and be like, oh, yeah, this is baseball. Like, they're not just messing around. Like, you know, like, let's just say if you take it for a NHL All-Star game or an NBA All-Star game. Hey, you know what? I'm going to walk Ellie De La Cruz on purpose so we can watch him steal on the next play and see if my catcher can throw him out. That's what All-Star games are typically about, but not the Major League Baseball All-Star game. At least it's the best semblance of an overall game that you can get, and the superstars do perform. They take it seriously in Major League Baseball, so there's still something to be said about the Major League Baseball game continuing, even though the relevance not really there anymore.
Our producer Joe Frizo, in a Lone Star State feeling, shared that Jaron Duran got some cowboy boots and a huge belt buckle last night. NFL news next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Will they both make it? Yes. But it has more to do with the fact of the three teams that are not really good at all in Dallas, Washington, and the Sparks, and an Atlanta Dream team without Ryan Howard that's spiraling out of control. If they can get those two teams, Indiana and Chicago, that's going to be a major boom for ratings.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
It is Canada. You know, Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played two matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
In lieu of a lot of live sports over the next 2 days, we are going to talk some football because today, Wednesday, July 17th, 2024, the first true veterans show up to training camp in the National Football League. The Texans send their rookies and their vets to training camp today. A couple more rookies join the show. We had 8 teams send their rookies yesterday. The Baltimore Ravens on Saturday. The quarterbacks, as Donnie alluded to, all show up as well. It is time for football. Yesterday, one of the 8 teams that sent their rookies, the San Francisco 49ers. In a rather peculiar offseason at the wide receiver spot for San Fran, they take Ricky Pearsall out of Florida with the second to last pick of the opening round. Pearsall placed on the non-football related IL of sorts to start off camp. That was interesting, which leads to our next point about Brandon Ayuk. I guess it is the first time, although it feels like the 7th, 8th, or 9th time, that Brandon Ayuk has officially demanded a trade from the San Francisco 49ers. The reason it feels like the 9th time, and that this is not really a new and breaking news update, DRS, is because Brandon Ayuk has not been happy with his contract situation with San Francisco all offseason long.
No, he hasn't. And the interesting part about this is, too, this is not a rare phenomenon with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, last year you saw Bosa real late getting to camp, got a monster contract. We always thought that was going to get done. The interesting one the year before was the Deebo Samuels deal. But Deebo Samuels is an awesome wide receiver, like can do it all, an intricate part of that offense for Kyle Shanahan. But we were led to believe that it wasn't even about the money. It was like he wasn't happy being on the 49ers when the 49ers always get him the football. And don't you remember some of those clauses like, well, if I I signed this deal. Like, you're not handing the football off to me more than like one time a game. It was really interesting. And basically we heard like San Francisco, the upper management was like, here's a blank check, Debo. Fill it out. What do you want? Come in here happy. And it all turned out okay. Now we're finding out Brandon Ayuk, we don't know if this is a money issue or if this is just a disrespect issue at this point. Now, granted, anytime a player wants a new contract, it's typically about the money. He's going to make $14 million next year, but after that, you don't really have that basis where if you hurt yourself, that's going to cost you a lot of money in the future. But my question is, what is he actually asking for? Because we haven't seen anything with those leaks from either the team and or the agent go, well, he's not asking for Justin Jefferson money, but he wants more money than A.J. Brown. You know what I mean? In that range. We know he wants to be a high-paid receiver, and quite frankly, he deserves to be that. It's interesting how it's gone this long with this much animosity, because typically you negotiate behind the scenes, and if you see at the end of the tunnel there's a light where you're like, okay, I think this is going to get done. But you're right, Ben, it feels like from the day the Super Bowl ended, Brandon Ayuk has been furious with the 49ers and repeatedly going on social media and making it known he wants out. And the 49ers are going like, yeah, I don't care if you want out, you're staying here and you'll be happy with your $14 million. They got a week to get this done before it actually shows up to camp and really can get out of control.
6 days in Santa Clara. Next Wednesday is when the San Francisco 49ers send all of their veterans to training camp. Brandon Ayuk has kind of taken to social media to heighten the drama this offseason in the least subtle way possible. He has talked to his former Arizona State quarterback, Jaden Daniels, now in his rookie year with the Washington Commanders, of course. There was a video shared out with his film crew behind the scenes of Ayuk talking to Daniels and saying San Francisco doesn't want me anymore, so on and so forth. He has looked at what other teams do offensively and said, wow, that could be cool for me. All of this to say, though, Adam Schefter of ESPN reporting that other teams have reached out and spoken to San Fran, but they have been told the 49ers have no intention of trading the disgruntled wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, who officially, of course, requested a trade. I don't think they want to trade him. I wonder what his trade market would be. But the fascinating thing, DRS, Brandon Ayuk, first-round pick in 2020. That wide receiver class is getting paid this offseason, at least we would seem to believe. Justin Jefferson, a member of that class. T. Higgins taken in the second round, and CeeDee Lamb, a first-round pick as well, slated, we would believe, to get his contract extension this offseason as well, although they only have a week really for the Dallas Cowboys to get that done. Brandon Ayuk probably doesn't come to mind when you think about top 10 receivers in the National Football League, but last year, 75 grabs, 1,342 yards, a career best, and 7 touchdowns. Second team AP All-Pro a year ago. 2022, 78 grabs, 1,015 yards, 8 touchdowns. Both the grabs and the touchdowns, career best as well. The reason we highlight the last 2 years, both over 1,000, but Brock Purdy was his quarterback for a good majority of it. You would think that Brandon Ayuk has been that top target for Brock Purdy. They would want to keep him there in San Francisco, and yet a new payday has not hit the wire, at least as of yet.
Yeah, he fits perfectly in that offense. I mean, Debo's that short to intermediate route guy that can take it the distance. Ayuk is that perfect route runner that can get deep and run those long distance routes. You know, Kittle, CMC in the backfield, everything works just so well with them. You'd hate to see him leave, but also keep in mind, like, you go back and sometimes you date yourself 20 years ago. If you remember, Terrell Owens going to camp, all he wanted was a guarantee out of the Philadelphia Eagles for one season that you guaranteed my money. And Joe Banner, of course, who the Eagles probably should have multiple Super Bowls. He was the general manager, never wanted to pay anybody, and you saw how that went. T.O. gets thrown out of training camp, comes back, actually has a decent half of the season. Then the Eagles basically tell him to go home. We never want to see again. Now, we don't think it's going to get to that level, but understand the point I'm trying to make here. And you guys out here, whether you sit at a cubicle all day, you're in a high rise, whatever you're doing for your job, you want to show up at your workplace with effort, and you want to know that you're wanted there and you want to be there. We can tell right away the people that are mailing it in. And you say to yourself, well, Donnie, how could you mail in making $14 million a year? They live a different life, professional athletes. He's probably showing up to the building every day with animosity. You don't want that. The minute he signs a brand new deal, he's going to show reinvigorated, like, I'm ready to go. Thank goodness this guy get done. every day he shows up, he's going to be angry. You don't want that out of your best players. Specifically, it's one thing, like, it's like, you know what? You're a great wide receiver. We're projected to win 4 games this year. With or without you, it doesn't matter. Let's let the animosity go. The Niners are pushing all in for a Super Bowl this year. Why would you go into the season either A, trading him, or having him be unhappy? It just doesn't make, dollars make sense. This makes no sense here.
The San Francisco 49ers at a 6-1 price are co-favorites to win Super Bowl 59 with the team that has beaten them in 2 of the last 5 Super Bowls. That's the Kansas City Chiefs. They are the very short favorites in what is considered the weaker of the 2 conferences in the NFC to at least get back to a Super Bowl appearance in New Orleans this upcoming season. And Brandon Ayuk, whether you believe that he is or not, plays a significant role in all of that offensively for Kyle Shanahan. There are 4 wide receivers in the National Football League DRS that make $30 million or more on an annual average basis entering this year. Justin Jefferson, $35 million. A.J. Brown, about $32 million. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a little bit more than $30 million. And Tyreek Hill at $30 million. Jalen Waddle, top 5 paid, $28.25 million per year. About to enter year number 4, signing that big contract extension earlier this offseason, is the 5th highest paid wide receiver. You might ask, and it's a true statement because we are talking about so many millions of dollars, how could anybody be disgruntled making $14 million per year? It's all about relative value. Whether you agree or not, it is what the market dictates, and that is the case with where these salaries and paydays and contract extensions are going in the National Football League, really regardless of position, but at least as of late at the quarterback and wide receiver spot.
And it's not getting any better. And the reason I say this is Tyreek Hill is going to come up for a contract. He might even get it before training camp. CeeDee Lamb is going to get his because the whole thing's like, well, Justin Jefferson's deal came out. That upset the apple cart. You should have had him signed already. It's why A.J. Brown is signed. It's why, like, Devonta Smith here in Philadelphia is signed because they were happy with the money at that time. Every time a new player comes into the equation and signs for even more money, Brandon Ayuk is not going to take a discount at that point. It's only costing you money. You could have wrapped this up in March and saved a ton of money and a ton of acrimony off the field, but instead you let this slide. Now one of your best players in a Super Bowl year for what you think is going to be angry coming into camp and doesn't want to be there.
We have more wide receiver news around the NFL. Will Devontae Adams be a Raider or maybe a Jet? We'll talk about it up next here on the Early Line.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Will they both make it? Yes. But it has more to do with the fact of the 3 teams that are not really good at all in Dallas, Washington, and the Sparks, and an Atlanta Dream Team without Ryan Howard that's spiraling out of control. If they can get those 2 teams, Indiana and Chicago, that's going to be a major boom for ratings.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
It is Canada. Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played 2 matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
NFL news and notes bright and early on this Wednesday morning on the early line on SportsGrid. Because Aaron Rodgers always has drama surrounding him, at the American Century Championship, the amateur golf event in Lake Tahoe last weekend, Aaron Rodgers made some sort of reference that he's talked to Davante Adams, his longtime number one target in Green Bay, about potentially reuniting in the NFL. It has led to Davante Adams maybe being in trade speculation. This from Adams' agents Kenny Chapman and Frank Bauer regarding the recent trade talk surrounding their client to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Quote, "This is baseless, unfounded speculation, and Davante is expected to be with the Raiders as there has been absolutely no trade talk, period," end quote. Donnie, do you buy it? Will Davante Adams be in Las Vegas all 2024 NFL season long?
That's a good question, too, because right now, I think, obviously, in Las Vegas, and also let's go back to what actually happened in his career. He was an absolutely filthy, dominant wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers with a quarterback who loved his wide receiver, where he would just, like the other side of the field, double coverage here. Oh, triple coverage with Davante. Woo! You only live once. Let me throw it up to you. He had the perfect storm as a wide receiver and was getting paid well. I thought it was interesting that he demanded the trade to go to Las Vegas, but when you figured, I'm going to live in Green Bay, I'm going to live in Las Vegas, so my college roommate here, a teammate, I can't wait to get back up with it. Then they sort of pulled the rug out from under him. And it's not so much about sometimes as a top wide receiver, okay, well, I still went here. My favorite quarterback who I came here for, he's gone, but I got an unbelievable quarterback, which you don't have now. And there's no Super Bowl aspirations for the Vegas Raiders at this point right now. Right. So now you could figure that you might be able to pry him loose. But your question is valid. Like right now, I don't think he cares. But let's just say the Raiders are 1-6. Getting bad quarterback play, that is going to absolutely ramp up at the trade deadline, because you're in a spot where, yes, wide receivers, there's two things they want, Ben. Forget, and quite frankly, winning probably way down on the ladder, which sounds crazy. They want to get paid, but they also want to have productivity. Like, that's the whole key. Like, and also, like, just say Justin Jefferson, right? We think he's going to have a rookie quarterback. Oh, well, he got paid. He's going to be happy. Trust me when I tell you this. He could make all the money in the world, but when his boys are catching 50 to 60 to 70 passes midway through the season and he's at 24, he's not going to be like, well, my bank account is fat. He's going to be furious. That's the way wide receivers operate. But I don't know how this even gets started where Aaron Rodgers is like, I have an unbelievably talented wide receiver room with great young players, and I'm making comments like I still need another all-pro wide receiver because I don't like the wide receivers that I currently have, which basically he's handpicking just about every one of them. So for my money, I do think there's a really good chance that Davante Adams is out of Las Vegas midway through the season just because the productivity isn't there. And quite frankly, he was sold a bill of goods where I'm going to go play with my teammate for 3 to 4 years. And we're going to do a lot of damage. And it happened quick, and they moved him out of town. Usually superstar players get upset by that. Like, hey, I came here to play with this guy. You shipped him out. What's the deal?
One of the worst beats of all time for Davante Adams. Wanted to reunite with his college best friend and quarterback from their Fresno State days in Derek Carr, who had been a lifelong Raider and probably everybody thought would be a lifelong Raider throughout the duration of his NFL career. They ship him after benching him at the end of 2022. But even last year, with the rotating cast and crew at the QB spot, Jimmy Garoppolo to start, of course, Aiden O'Connell after that, Davante played in all 17 games, still had more than 1,100 receiving yards and 8 receiving touchdowns. His first year in Vegas, he had more than 1,400 yards, led all of the NFL with 14 receiving touchdowns, was an AP All-Pro first-teamer in the NFL. He's had success in terms of production statistically in Las Vegas, but the Raiders, not so much. 6.5 the win total for Las Vegas. The over does have the juice. They have that buy-in and belief in their new head coach, Antonio Pierce. Contract news yesterday. What was expected is now done. As the Bears send their rookies to training camp, their 2 first-round picks 1st overall, Caleb Williams, 9th overall, Rome Odunze. They have finally signed the dotted line. It was a little bit murky. They were unsigned entering the opening day of training camp yesterday, but Caleb Williams, that 4-year, fully guaranteed contract worth $39 million, that includes a $25.5 million signing bonus. Caleb Williams is officially signed. He is the face of the franchise in the Windy City.
Yeah, the fine print, and sometimes that's what it just comes down to, where you're arguing over like that 4th or 5th season. If I'm a really bad quarterback and you get rid of me, are all my guarantees going to be in line? So that's probably just waiting for the lawyers to get back out of it. We didn't anticipate us or them having any issues here. And in the past, This is what that slotted system in the NFL is now doing in round number 1. You know exactly what you're supposed to make here. There's very few details that have to be ironed out, as opposed to in the past, hey, I'm going to ask for $300 million in a guaranteed contract. Then it could get a little bit tricky at that point. But we expect him to be in camp. He's in camp. No more restrictions on, I wonder if he's going to show up. He's there. It's ready to go for the Bears. Same thing with Rome Odunze. Get that out of the way. Get to training camp. Get to work.
I think there was more speculation. It was a slightly strange scenario because Caleb Williams, who has had interesting people represent him throughout his time, and weird reports have come out about what his father and other representatives have said about what his desires are individually in the National Football League. He wasn't represented and is not currently by an NFLPA agent, which means the Bears can only speak to the individual that is Caleb Williams, even if it's a lawyer that is technically using a Caleb Williams email to have those contract negotiations. But it's done. He is signed. Same with Rome Odunze. Only 3 of the first-round selections from 2024 have not signed, both in Minneapolis. J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback, Dallas Turner, the edge rusher out of Alabama, and the big O-lineman out of Georgia, Amarius Mims, who was taken 18th overall by the Bengals. As those rooks start to show up, I would expect the dotted line to be inked as well. Caleb Williams is the short favorite to win the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year award at plus 140, more than $5 in front of the number 2 overall selection, Jaden Daniels, at plus 650. Donnie, if you had to bet, if I gave you Caleb Williams at plus 140 or anybody else, what would you take?
It's Caleb Williams easy in this point because he's supposed to put up the big numbers. They're supposed to be a much better football team with a legitimate chance to make the playoffs. That would be easy. But by the way, did you tell me there's still a couple people left out there and one of those players is a Bengals player? Did I hear that correctly?
Correct, yes.
The way they negotiate is wild. Like I think it was Andre Smith, the tackle out of Alabama, maybe more than a decade ago, got drafted in the top 10. Like, we don't think you're a top 10 player. We want to play you like you're the 15th overall pick. What is with that franchise, man? Handle your business. Pay your players over there. Goodness.
You're kind of slotted in anyway to college football. Yeah. SEC Media Day is next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Will they both make it? Yes. But it has more to do with the fact of the 3 teams that are not really good at all in Dallas, Washington, and the Sparks, and an Atlanta Dream Team without Ryan Howard that's spiraling out of control. If they can get those 2 teams, Indiana and Chicago, that's going to be a major boom for ratings.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
It is Canada. You know, Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played 2 matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
SEC Media Days, day number 2 yesterday in Dallas, day 3 of 4 today in Dallas as well. Kalen DeBoer will make his debut at SEC Media Days, a new era in Tuscaloosa. Of course, no longer the head man, Nick Saban. Texas, one of the newcomers, will be there at the podium today. What will Steve Sarkisian have to say for a Longhorns unit that is expected to contend for an SEC title? Oklahoma joining their most bitter rivals in Texas, in the SEC, of course, in the realigned and expanded conference. In the last few years at Big 12 Media Days, officiating was often asked, what are you going to do with the horns down symbol, right? Mockery of the horns up for Texas, used to celebrate on either side. When Oklahoma's head coach, Brent Venables, was asked about it yesterday, should it be a penalty, he said, quote, I don't really have an opinion. Football is a game of emotion. If they say it's a penalty, then don't do it. If it's a free-for-all, have at it. Whatever rules are in place, we'll do it, end quote. The head of SEC officiating also asked a similar question, and he pretty much says that context is important. If you do it in the face of a Texas player, that's taunting. You're going to get flagged 15 yards unsportsmanlike. If you're doing it on the sideline to celebrate with your teammates after a huge momentum-turning play, there's nothing they can do. They're just celebrating being the boys and having a good time. So it seems as though the horns down has made its way to the Southeastern Conference.
That's good. That's the way it's supposed to be, though, right? There's taunting. There's spiking a football when you score a touchdown, which we love. Then when you beat a guy deep and he falls down the end zone, you spike it right next to his head. That's a penalty. That's taunting. We understand that. We're grown-ups here. Yes, you want the rivalries in there. You want the edge on that. Same thing when you score a touchdown against Miami. They hold up the U, and then they flip it down. Look, I'm a Miami fan. I think it's creative. I'm like, you know what? Hey, man, you scored a touchdown. You got to get your digs in at this point. Harkening back to my days of the early, mid-80s, I should say, and early 1990s. Celebrations in college football were absolutely wild. Like, Miami was dancing on every sack. You ever see Lamar Thomas back in the day catch a touchdown or just catch a big play, number 36 for the Hurricanes? He would take his helmet off in the middle of the field, and you were allowed to do that. Then several years later, the minute you crossed the goal line, it was like 16 referees jumped out of the stands to separate you from the ball, make sure you got back to the sidelines. Like, times have changed in college, and we understand that. You never want to see taunting where it upsets the other player, which draws a reaction. But you're telling me a touchdown against Texas in a big game, you roll up to their fan base in the back of the end zone and throw that horns down. I love that. That's pageantry. We need that.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
just can't have the taunting. That's fine. They should never outlaw that.
You know how bad things were in year number 1 under Mario Cristobal in Miami? You remember when Duke's Brandon Johnson had a pick six against the Canes in Miami, took it back to the house, and then put up the U and broke it over his leg? Whew, that was a tough time for Donnie's favorite college team for whatever reason. As we go around the SEC from yesterday, Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs booked as the favorites to win the Southeastern Conference title this year, plus 185. Kirby Smart was asked about NIL funding that his former defensive coordinator and Oregon head coach, Dan Lanning, is set to receive. Of course, Phil Knight, an alum of Oregon, puts all of his Nike money into the Ducks. And Kirby had this to say, quote, I wish I could get some of that NIL money that he's sharing with Dan Lanning, but that's another note, end quote. Kirby Smart is a master motivator. Kirby Smart knows how to take nothing and make it into something. The idea that Athens is cash-strapped is a little bit hard to believe, Mr. Smart.
Yeah, it's just the SEC coaches going like, this isn't right. Now we can pay legally. We used to be the conference that got away paying illegally, which means we could afford anybody we wanted. Now Phil Knight has an open checkbook out. He can write a check. That's just not fair at this point. It's crazy how the tables have turned. And again, it's a new wave, and it's just one of those competitive edges. All Kirby Smart is trying to do is make sure his fan base and his boosters are reading these articles. What you're giving me is not enough. If you want to compete in college football, because right now we can't compete despite being a great team every year and winning multiple national championships, you got to spend more money. It's crazy how the people, how do they say it? It's like you have a Virginia ham under your arm and then you're asking for bread in the other hand. You know, something like that. I mean, that's what Kirby Smart is actually telling us right now. How about that?
Yeah, it certainly is. Georgia, by the way, is the favorite not only to win the SEC, but a national title at 3-1. UGA to get to the college football playoff minus 600. Maybe you remember the debate here on the show on that Monday following Selection Sunday. I believe it was December 4th, where I was yelling at the top of my lungs at both Donnie and Mark Zito for Florida State's exclusion from the college football playoff. We didn't spend a lot of time on Georgia. They should have been there as well, and they will be in 2024. Hour 2 starts next.